What's going on, guys? It's really early. It's like 7 in the morning. Well, it feels early. I didn't get much sleep. But we're on our way to go fix up the Skyline, or probably actually on our way to go take it apart more. Just waiting in line to get some fuel, and then definitely gonna get a Red Bull, maybe a pizza. Pizza's good breakfast food, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Yeah, gonna do that, then head over to the storage unit / workshop, and we'll get right into it. Let's go get this bread. Alrighty. Cheers. I guess today we're gonna still try to get the fuel tank out. There's a bit of fuel left, which we're gonna have to siphon. Then drop the rear subframe, drop the fuel tank. We'll have to take out the drive shafts, actually drop the fuel tank, drop the subframe, because it's all connected. So I guess first call for action would be, might try siphon fuel, see if I can get any more out, otherwise I'll just struggle with the heavy fuel tank. Then unbolt the drive shaft, take that out, put it to the side. I want to then make sure all those handbrake cables are undone. If I remember correctly, I do remember correctly because I was having to think the other night. The handbrake was up, so I couldn't get that undone. I'm stupid, whatever. So we're going to do that, get the handbrake cables undone, then we can drop the subframe, then we can drop the fuel tank. Then, if there's enough time today, which it might not be, I don't know, I have to do other things today. If there's enough time, we'll have a look at that gearbox, see if we can get it unbolted, or see if it just has to come out with the engine from the front. Yeah, I'm gonna drink this, I'm gonna eat that. By that I mean the pizza I got. And then we'll get stuck into it. Alright, so we got the fuel siphoning into there. I managed to get it up through that pipe, which before I couldn't for some reason, but now I can. So pipe's just up through there, fuel's going in there. You can see it in here, in the fuel tank. I had to like wedge it down into there to try to get as much fuel as possible. Sounds like it's stopped now, so I'm gonna have to restart it, but yeah, slowly getting it out. Alright, so I'm under the car now. I can't get any more fuel siphoned out because my little pipe thingy isn't long enough, but I've released the handbrakes, and if you remember last episode, we couldn't get that thing off. So I'm hoping without the tension from the handbrake, they just pop right off. And then there's one on this side too. But in order to make my life a bit easier, I'm gonna undo the bolts on the diff and get the drive shaft out. So it's just a few bolts on the diff, which we'll use the handbrake to stop it, or the gearbox, whichever. A few bolts there. Missing one here, but there's one there, two up here, holding on the middle of the drive shaft, forget what it's called. And then it just slides out the transmission, so hopefully not too difficult. Oh, look at that. Some dodgy wiring on my gearbox. We'll have to have a look at that when it comes out. But yeah, let's get started on that. Okay, so it's like an hour later, and those bolts on the fucking diff made me want to kill myself. They were terrible, but they are loose. and that sucked. Basically what I had to do is I had to take a real long ass socket extension, wedge it in the actual drive shaft to stop it spinning, because even with the gears engaged it's still on the engine. Wedge that in there, and then I had to like double up on the spanners, so I had like one hanging off the nut and then the other one hooked on the end of it, just more leverage. But we got there eventually, so now I'm just gonna zip off those bolts there and the ones holding it to the chassis, and then we can slide it out finally. So as you can see, the drive shaft's out. It fucking sucked. I want to quit working on cars. What happened was, let's see if I can find you it. Not that one, but that one's a good indication of how they were. So this was the good nut. As you can see, it's nicely rounded. It was actually like that before I started, but it got worse when I tried to get it off. This one came off well. The other one, oh no, that was the shit one actually. It basically rounded, so I had to like hammer on a socket to get it to come off, which sucked. But drive shaft's out, which means next step is unhooking those brake lines and then getting that rear subframe down. Keen as. Okay, so I've got the handbrake cables disconnected under the car. Now I think all there is left to do is I gotta unbolt the coilovers at the bottom so they're not holding onto the subframe or holding onto the suspension. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it's just all the subframe bolts, and then this thing should just drop out. Okay, so I've undone those two bolts there, and I was doing one more check and I forgot to unplug all the high cast stuff, so should be pretty straightforward, just a few plugs here and there. And then we should be good to unbolt the subframe and see what else I forgot to disconnect. Okay, so all those plugs and shit are off. Now we're good to take all those two at the back here, and then like 3 bolts either side and the front of the subframe. I'm gonna have to re-jack up this because obviously this isn't even reconnected anymore. And then I guess we'll see what happens. Might have an ambulance on standby just in case. Okay, so I've gotten the front bolts out of the subframe, so now it's just these rear two. And then we can try lowering it down. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, but I guess we've just got to do it. Forgot to bang off the coilovers. Screwdrivers make good hammers.
I hop out the car, leave the motor running. Why you always talking like you know something? Why you always talking, going show 'em something? No stunt double, I do my own stunt. Could take a year, I'll still have that paper coming. Put like 10 on the 90, I keep it so on it. All in the club, we don't do no clubbing. Throw like 10 on the 90, I keep it so on it. Orange label, I might pop me too. I was getting money, but they didn't have a clue. Caught the Porsche coming powder blue. Hit the top, we don't need the roof. Fools know we made the...
I win. I did it flawlessly. Almost took the car off the jack stand, so that's fucking dodgy. And my camera's off the piece. But we got the subframe off the car. Sick. Victory. Okay, so bam, rear subframe's out of the car. It was actually a lot easier than I thought. A bit sketch, but as you can see, very quickly running out of room, running out of breath. I'm tired, I need a drink. I might have a break and get a good drink, but look under here, so much room for activities. So fuel tank, I'm gonna tackle that when I get back. I'm just gonna go grab a drink somewhere. I always forget to bring something to drink here, but very happy we got this done. Come back, get the fuel tank out, and then maybe have a look at the transmission. We'll see. That jack stand's not even touching the car. It's a bit sketchy, but it's always fun. Just before I left, I quickly threw the jack stand underneath the front subframe just because with the engine still in, it's probably a bit front heavy. Oh, fuck, I'm tired. All right, gonna go get a drink. All right, so I'm back. I've lubricated my insides. I'm feeling fresh, positive mindset. Got the subframe out. That's a good win for the day. It's only like 9:30, so I actually made pretty decent time. What we're gonna do now is try to get the fuel tank out, I guess. Haven't got a clue how to do that, so I guess we'll just have a look underneath and see what needs doing. So first things first, obviously, I'm gonna have to undo that top hose clamp. So when we drop the fuel tank, these pipes can just come out. After that, I think it might just be the straps underneath and these fuel lines, and then, so I think if we unclip these fuel lines, then it should just be those straps holding up the fuel tank. I'll probably actually have to steal the jack from the front of the car and support the fuel tanks because I suspect there's still quite a bit of fuel in there, unfortunately. But I guess we're just gonna have to go give it a go, see how we do. Okay, so I've disconnected those two fuel lines back there. I'm having a look under the car now. It's really hard to like orientate myself. There's this like heat shield underneath the fuel tank that needs coming out. It looks just to be like a series of bolts holding it on up until about here. And then I guess once all that's out, it's just the battery straps that should be holding it on. So I'm gonna get this heat shield off and then have a better look underneath. But yeah, so I got the metal like protective thing off the bottom of the fuel tank. Basically it was actually just so there was the there was the 10mm nut here, and then on each of these like knob looking things, and then that one there, there were these like weird metal clips holding it on. Those. So I literally just like levered it over and pulled it off, and that's that done. Might take that home and give it a hit with the wire brush and paint it just to look nice for when the rest of the car's painted. But I think, so there's this breather for the diff, which I'll have to unclip there. But I think we should be good to undo these straps. I might just put the jack over here just to support the fuel tank. But yeah, we should be able to get this out, hopefully. Okay, so the fuel tank's actually too high for the jack to reach, so I guess I'm just gonna have to send it, try and undo it with like my knee supporting it or something. We'll see how we go. I'll set you up on a tripod so you can see me cry. I don't know what you can see or if you're in focus, but this is the best you're gonna get. This actually feels pretty light. Maybe I didn't need to lie under it. It's a bit. Fuck yeah! Oh yeah, so there was one more pipe which I forgot to undo, which is, what is this, the breather? Yeah. Got it. It sucked. Fuel tank's out. It's actually pretty clean under the fuel tank. But yeah, let's get this out from under the car. Okay, so fuel tank's out from under the car. I'll come back and tidy up the mess I've left there. Subframe's out. I'm absolutely fucking filthy. But, triumphant moment. Fuel tank's out, so I'm gonna try siphon what's left of the fuel. I just put it up on the tailgate just to get higher than the jerry can. See how we go. All right, so I think that'll wrap things up nicely for today. Managed to get the rear subframe out, fuel tank's out. I've got it in the back of my car. I'm gonna take it and give it a wash. I put the fuel hat and fuel pump back on it just so that it won't spill. Like, there's only a tiny bit of fuel left in it, but I'd rather keep it all sealed so no shit gets in the fuel tank. That's pretty much the rear end's totally stripped. I just need to get the fuel and brake lines off now. Once we get the fuel and brake lines stripped, that's pretty much the rear end done. I'm gonna pull this wiring harness back through the firewall or through the grommet because I'm not gonna be using high cast after the car gets put back together. I'll need to pull out the fuel neck and the rear end's pretty much done, and then we get stuck into the hard stuff up front here. Try and get this piece of shit out. It's actually not a piece of shit, pretty good engine. Quite like the RBs. But yeah, we'll try and tackle that next time. I mean, we can also probably should try and take the transmission out before we take the engine out, but I'm just too tired today. I have no energy left. That was a big job, especially trying to get this fucking drive shaft out. Those rear bolts are just terrible, but yeah. Another day finished. Another day with less space to move around in here, but we're getting pretty far with this. I'm pretty happy with the progress. Considering majority of tools have been out of this little briefcase, I've used a few screwdrivers and hammers out of this, but I think we've done a good job. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.